And we're live. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to I Know That Nerd. I'm your host, Stephen Stark, but you already knew that or you wouldn't be here. You're all here to meet and get to know about the wonderful and lovely Crowfood's daughter, also known as Amanda, of the Disputed Lands channel. I'm doing your introductions for you this time, I guess. But Amanda, what else would you like the people to know you as?
So I go by Crowfood's daughter. I have since I started out in the forums of the fandom years ago. I'm also one of the moderators on the A Song of Ice and Fire subreddits. And I have my YouTube channel, The Disputed Lands, where I talk about a lot of things, mostly Ironborn things, but I've had two recent videos that were pretty popular on the origin of dragons, so a lot of people like those. So yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm really excited to have you here. Amanda, I've always thought you were, everything you put out is so well thought out and so well placed. And you're looking at things that nobody else is really looking at least as far as I know. You're the one doing that research, so you would know far better than I would, but like, especially your Ironborn stuff, like, I don't know anybody that's digging into the Ironborn culture the way you are. And it's just goes to show the depth of this particular fandom.
Oh yeah, I definitely, when I look at theories that I want to develop or want to do, one of the first things that I do is actually make sure that it hasn't been discussed before, because if it has, I probably can't do as good of a job as somebody else. And also, I want to bring new information and new things, for people to look at and discuss. I don't like going over the same, sort of thing. One of the videos that I did do actually did discuss one of the already established theories, and that was the Naga video.
Right.
But what I did was, instead of just kind of going off of what I believe to be the case, I actually laid out the evidence for all the different sides of the story, all the different theories, and kind of provide theory. So the boat theory, of course, is not my own theory. It's one that's already established in the fandom. I just provided the evidence, all of the evidence for it. But other than that video, I do try and kind of put out stuff that hasn't been established already.
Right. Well, I was watching History of Westeros live earlier today, and people were discussing the parallels between Weirwoods and Shade of the Evening Trees, and I'm like, you need to go watch.
Oh, I missed that. I got to check that out.
You need to go watch the Disputed Lands video. It was a brief moment, but it definitely was a moment. I'm like, oh, you need to. Amanda's got a great video about that very topic.
I do. I really enjoyed doing that video. It was the first video I ever did. So the production quality isn't that great because, there's a learning curve involved with making videos. But it was the first video I did, and I did put a lot of time and effort into it. And for what it was, I'm glad, how it did turn out. So yeah.
Right on. I think I knew who you were before that, but that video in and of itself made me go, oh, this is a serious contender for somebody who's, I love the way you presented that, even though it's your first video you ever made, and you said the production quality is not that great. I thought it was fantastic.
Oh, well, thank you. And yes, even though that was kind of the first time that you kind of learned about me, we actually crossed paths at the very first Con of Thrones.
Right. You've mentioned that to me before.
Yes, I sat right next to you. Yes. I sat right next to you at the podcast meet and greet. We were both trying to say hi to History of Westeros.
Right, of course.
You were there, I was there, and it was super hot. And
it was very hot.
It was
this year.
Yeah, it was an awkward room with all those chairs kind of, around the perimeter and of everything. But cool, because you commented on that first video, and I got to kind of let you know that
right,
we crossed paths in the past.
And then, of course, at the second Con of Thrones, I was so busy trying to socialize, and you were so busy trying to whoop people with a foam sword that We didn't hang out much, but I think that's going to
Not
be
a whole lot, but you know, we found each other
We
like
certainly did.
at the very beginning of the con, like while we were still in line,
Right.
you know, like trying for the admission. We kind of found each other, which was like really cool because I was like, Steven.
And I did know who you were at that point, and had you released that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Had
I
you
had released the
released
video and I had released like one or two others. The video I did after the Shade of the Evening video was the Garth Green Hand and the Gray King
Right.
fratricidal clues video. Another big one. That was like, that's my longest video that I've ever done. It's almost an hour long.
Right. But it's fantastic too. By the way, I'm sure I'm preaching at the choir here to everybody who's watching, but because I think they know who you are, and we're going to dig into how you got to be the Amanda you are here in just a minute. But I love everything you've done, even down to the Vanishing Sea video where you're talking about, you know, how that happened in the middle of America, that very thing.
Oh yes, yeah, the Dothraki Sea video. Yeah, I try and take you know, a lot of things from my perspective. You know, all of us, we've have different educations. We grew up in different areas. We have learned different, you know, folklores and mythologies, and we've read different science fiction and fantasy novels. We understand, you know, each of us comes with our own perspective storyline, and they were always making these jokes about the Dothraki Sea. And when I saw it on the map, I kind of knew what it was, but then when the World Book was published, I definitely knew what it was because it talked about the vanished Silver Sea, and you see the lakes that remain, and they're incredibly far apart. So you know that it was it was very large. Yeah, so that was really fun to do because I got to take a little bit of knowledge that I learned in like the 5th grade. So
right.
That was cool.
But that is going to lead me then to your past, because in that video you mentioned you grew up in the Midwest.
Yes.
So let's talk about, where were you born, if you're comfortable with that?
Yeah, so I was born in a place called Sioux City, Iowa, and that is on the border of Iowa and Nebraska. That's where my parents are from and where they grew up. However, we moved to Nebraska when I was about, you know, get to live there much, but we would visit a lot because we still had a lot of family over there.
Right.
But I lived in a town called Norfolk, Nebraska, and it's about like an hour south of South Dakota and about 2 hours west of Iowa.
Okay, so it's literally in the middle of nowhere.
It is in the middle of nowhere. It is. And I actually lived out of town. I lived 10 miles out of town. So I actually grew up kind of in a country setting.
Right. You got that country girl thing going to a certain extent.
Yeah. So like when we wanted to go swimming, we would actually walk about a mile on the highway and then go onto like trespass onto people's property and you know, hop some barbed wire fences and go swim in a dirty river. But yeah, that's where I grew up.
That sounds actually like a lot of fun, at least until I discover girls. I'm sorry, those are my jokes.
And I wouldn't have traded it for anything. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
It sounds it sounds great. So so how was elementary school? What'd you do? Were you musical? Did you do choir? Did you do?
Yeah. So well, what had happened was, so because I lived in the country, I was supposed to go to a district country school that was about 50 people, grades kindergarten through 8th grade. It's like 50 students.
Wow.
And my mother and my father were concerned about the level of education that they were getting because there was only 2 teachers to teach all of those grades. And so I was actually sent to a parochial school, it was a Lutheran parochial school. Even though my mother was raised Mormon and my father was raised Catholic.
Ooh, ooh. I can only imagine what Thanksgiving was like.
I was sent to just to get the groundwork going for my education and everything. So that was interesting because when they married, they both decided they weren't very religious. And so in order to maintain the necessary things with the school, you think you had to attend church. And so my parents kind of, muscled their way through our elementary school education by going to church with us and doing all of that. So,
right.
So in some of my videos, I talk sometimes about some parallels with Christianity and stuff like that. And a lot of that knowledge comes from that, basic parochial school like education. So, yeah.
So so you had a religious education on top of how was the education though? Did you feel like you got good teachers there?
Yeah, I do. When I got into the 6th grade, I moved over to public
Okay.
school, and I was in high school. I was in the debate team, and that was a lot of fun. I also did soccer and cross country and Civil Air Patrol, which is something that not a lot of people do. So that
Yeah,
was kind of
I'm going to get a
interesting.
story out of you about Civil Air Patrol because I don't even know what that is.
Okay, so it's a lot like
Okay.
JROTC, except it's more for like preparatory into the Air Force, but they also do some civilian work with like search and rescue, in different community supports. So it's kind of like its own little separate entity, but it also helps prepare, young adults to enter into the military as well. So yeah, that was pretty cool. I got to like just a tech sergeant in the Civil Air Patrol. It was cool because I got to like ride in glider planes and go to different events and air shows and museums and learn a lot of history. And I would go to like mini boot camps in the summer, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you've definitely got me convinced that beating you in bull riding is going to be no small task.
Yeah, so yeah, I actually I spent my early 20s in San Antonio, and I spent most nights in the honky tonks of San Antonio, the country bars and all of that. So I have ridden a mechanical bull. So I have a little bit of experience there. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, I've never ridden a mechanical bull, but I have enthusiasm on my side.
See, you just need to go down to Billy Bob's, like,
I mean, I could. I live in
ASAP.
Dallas. It's not like it
You
would be hard to
do.
find one.
You live in the city that has the largest country western bar in the United States.
Yeah,
I've been there twice.
I've never been there.
You should go. It's huge.
I'm not really a country music fan. He
Yeah,
said
I
nobody.
suppose. I suppose, but
But I
it's
could
cool.
probably be convinced.
Yeah, well, at least just to get your feet wet with the mechanical bull,
It's not the worst idea
there
I've
you
ever heard.
go. Yeah, get a little practice down. That way you can come in with an edge.
So then I guess your school experience was a lot of your extracurriculars were very athletic. You said you ran cross country and you played soccer.
Yeah, but I was the goalie, so it wasn't as athletic as some of the other girls. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we go and travel and go to different games and just do that. But I was probably the least athletic of all of the other girls who were there because I basically kind of stood around until the ball came to me.
Yeah, but you were willing to take a soccer ball to the face.
But it.
So that's nothing small. To be a goalie, you have to be fearless.
Oh yeah. Like on the day of homecoming, I got kicked in the head.
That seems, I'm becoming to understand that's your brand.
I'm getting kicked in the head. That's so mean.
No, just like on homecoming, I got kicked in the head. Did you still go to homecoming?
Yeah, of course. I had little
Right.
cherry marks from the cleats on my face. It's great.
But you toughed it out. I think that's your brand.
Well, I had makeup, so you could cover it, but
Right.
yeah.
I see you as something of a Renaissance woman. You know, you athletic and smart and fun, and there's a reason that I wanted to have you on. I know that, nerd, because everybody already loves you, Amanda. We just want to get to know you better. Um,
Well,
and speaking of which, though, there's quite a few people in the chat that have been, wanting to say hi to you. So we're going to shout out to some people in the chat, if that's all right. So I've got Drinks and No Things. I see Nessie's here, Questing Beast. How you doing? Nessie's staying with Amanda, and I are sharing an Airbnb at Ton of Thrones. Nessie is going to
yes.
be there. My
Yeah,
name is
and
Isabel Witt. Sarah, she's going to be there.
she is going to be there. And I actually guested on Drinks and Those Things twice
Right on.
before. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I'd love to have Drinks and Those Things on at some point. There's a lot of people in this fandom, and I'm not averse to having any of them on. It's just down to how well do I know them, and I'm asking all the people I know better first. And Amanda, I gotta say, I couldn't be happier that you agreed to do this. You're a well-loved part of this fandom. Anybody who doesn't follow her on Twitter should just jump on that immediately.
Well, hey, thank you. And I haven't been as active on Twitter lately this summer. I'm kind of trying to, I think my kids get back to school. I'm probably going to hit things a little bit hard.
Doesn't mean you shouldn't follow her now. I see JR from Geek Chat 1 as well. Forrest Blurta. Hi, Forrest. How you doing?
Hey, JR. Hey, Forrest.
Maester Mary from Up From Under Winterfell is out there. Steph is. Hey, Steph is. Love ya. See you at the con. Bronholler is there. Bernie, how you doing? Bernie gives me shit all the time, but I can't help but love her. Meiji Cam, how you doing? It's been a minute since I've seen you. Hey, Rita of the Coppermane, fellow History of Westeros.
I love that name.
Fellow History of Westeros patron. Kraken Tacos, my man. How you doing? Sanri.
Sanrick's in there?
Yep.
Hey, Sanri.
I love me some Sanri. First ever guest. So yeah, we got a lot of people showing up. And if you guys want to ask Amanda anything, make sure you just tag me and or her, and I'll do my best to see it. I'm not great at watching the chat, but I'm here to talk to Amanda. We're all here to talk to Amanda. Mackenzie L. Burns just popped into the chat. Hi, Mackenzie. But yeah, we're having a good time. So your school life sounds like it was pretty good. So after high school then, and how was life? What was life after high school like?
So I joined the Army.
Right. I joined the Army. I joined the Army right out of high school as well. We have that in common.
Yes, yeah. And we were both in the first cab too, which was very cool. And you also share something in common with my husband. And that's that you were both Cab Scouts.
Right.
Yes. So that's actually pretty cool. But yeah, I joined the military as something that I kind of always wanted to do. I didn't want to go straight into college. I kind of wanted I thought that was going to be a little bit of a break. I ended up staying for 9 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was in for 9 years. I started out in supply, and I first was sent to Korea. So, and I was in an air defense artillery battery. And that was before women were allowed into combat arms. However, they were just starting to let women into the support units of combat arms, so the headquarters units. So I was actually part of HHB headquarters battery for 55 ABA, and which was like just a really weird experience because they were just letting women in. There were only 7 women in my unit, and my unit had at least 100 people, and so that was really weird. But yeah, I was sent to Korea. I was 18. And people tell me that I look kind of young now, but I looked like a baby when I was 18. And I remember we had to do alerts. Did you ever have to do alerts when you were in the military?
Oh yes, all the time.
Yeah, so I had the 50 cal position. And so we had to, when we had an alert, it was me and a Katusa, we had to take this 50 cal. And so I'd take the barrel and the tripod up this hill, and I sat there, and my battle left me. And so I was just sitting there, and my sergeant major walks up to me, and I was brand new to the unit. It was my first alert. And he asked me if my parents knew where I was.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was really young. Was sent to Fort Hood and first Cav.
First Cav.
And I spent a lot of time in the field, NTC, 30 days out in the desert, and did all that. And I decided that I didn't want to be in supply anymore because I kept on getting sent to really crappy units. So I talked to my recruiter, and I ended up changing my MOS, and I became a licensed practical nurse. And I was sent to the U.S. Army Practical Nurse course, and I graduated like first in my class, and got a little AAM and all that other cool stuff. And I was sent to Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio.
In San Antonio.
Yeah. So Brooke Army Medical Center.
My older brother was born at Fort Sam Houston.
Oh, really?
Yes, ma'am.
Very cool. They don't deliver there anymore. They have to go, all the pregnant women have to go all the way over to Lackland to deliver now.
Real talk, it was 1973 when that happened,
Oh.
And they may not have been doing that anymore by the time I was born.
Oh, yeah. Well, they do huge facility now, which is really, really nice. And they kind of moved everything around. And so they decided that all the women were going to go to Lackland, and only certain services are available over at BAMC.
Right.
But, yeah, it's pretty interesting how they kind of realigned everything. But so I did that, and that was pretty cool. I was deployed over to Mosul, Iraq. I was provost to not a National Guard, reserve unit. So the 228 Combat Support Hospital. And so if you've ever seen the show MASH,
sure.
Combat Support Hospital is called a CASH. It's what replaced the MASHs. And, I did that for a year. And when I came back, I took over a ward. So I took over Master, which is like a really cool, it's like a fantasy name, isn't it? Like I'm the ward master. But yeah.
I spells of some kind for sure.
I know, right? Yeah, I was the ward master. So I had my my own ward, and that I kind of, along with the head nurse, we kind of ran. And then after that, I was a instructor for the U.S. Army Practical Nurse course over in Fort Sam Houston. And and I my last year I spent over in Fort Hood as the senior medic, and I did that for about a year before I got out.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, there's been a couple of questions asked, and I wanted to say shout out to Maester Zen, who lived in Fort Hood, went to high school there.
Nice.
But Sanrixium wants to know, how many people has Queen Miranda defeated in single combat?
Can you repeat that, because you broke up?
Okay. I'm sorry. Sanrixium says, how many people has Queen Miranda defeated in single combat?
Oh, a lot, especially at the first con, because at the first con they had it kind of like huge battles where they'd have like one side and then another. And so at the last con, they just kind of did like man on man. And so I could kind of only, fight the people that kind of came in, and it wasn't as popular because at the first con, they just had these huge battles and everybody was having fun and more people came. And so at the first one, I don't know, but it was a lot. And there's a funny story because I had bought this, I call him a kid, but he was about 18. And he actually went to the con with his mom, and his mom, off to the side, kind of getting a rest. And his mom told me that he was afraid of me, which is kind of funny. But yeah, so it's kind of funny when 18-year-old guys' moms let you know they're afraid of you.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I, for the record, am not afraid of you. I mean,
okay.
I'm not known for being particularly wise, but
hey,
if I was smarter, I probably would be afraid of you. So
yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, you never know. You got a little bit of a reach, advantage, so you never know. So we'll see.
And if I fake a heart attack, I might be able to fool you long enough to sneak.
No, I'll still beat on you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I outed myself, so that just
you have to turn blue before I believe it.
Okay. Oh, you can't fake a heart attack in front of a nurse. I got you.
Yeah. Sorry. No, but you can actually have a heart attack and turn blue, and I'll wait till you turn blue.
Okay. And then save my life. And I believe you would do that at least once.
Oh yeah, I definitely, of course, Stephen. I would definitely save your life.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It's nice to know you're not just going to let me die.
No, I won't. I'll totally, give you the Ironborn resuscitation, and once you come back up, I'll be like, what is dead may never die, and
but rises again harder and stronger.
Harder and stronger, yeah. But yeah, and I'll shove your sword back in your hand, and
I'll be ready to march to the Drowned God's watery halls.
There you go.
So you've spent a lot of time with Ironborn myth and legend. Can I ask you what got you there? What hooked you so much?
Yeah, so there's just a lot of stuff. With a lot of different things that I kind of realized were connected in a way. I knew that the Ironborn Kiss of Life, the Ironborn resuscitation, meant something. I wasn't quite sure what, but I knew that it had to be significant in some way, especially when it comes to they're very different. They have their sayings, "What is dead may never die." They have just very very dark, symbolism with, scythes and talking about the, Lord Reaper. And when we actually got to the World Book, when we look at all of the different legends, because I think they're all interesting, but we're given the most information about the Grey King. We're given more information than Azor Ahai, more information than Garth. More information than, really any of the other legends. And so this one. And when we got to Garth Greenhand, it was interesting because I thought that, the Curse of the First King was kind of, cool and mysterious. And I thought that had to be significant in some way. So when we actually got to Garth, you kind of start to put two and two together that First King and Garth could quite very well be the same person. So I took a look at how the Ironborn are represented, a lot of stuff to do with reaping, and we do not sow, scythes, lots of Grim Reaper symbolism. And so one of the first places I actually looked was researching the Grim Reaper.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's when I learned about Anku and Cain and Abel, and everything started to kind of come together, because kinslaying is the drowned god's curse. And, all of there's so much kinslaying in the storyline with Aaron and Euron and everything. It's just, there's just so much. Everything just kind of came together.
So really your love of the Ironborn just grew out of the fact that you were starting to recognize these connections between their various pieces of symbolism. Yeah. It wasn't like, I think Krakens are great and I love boats.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love mermaids. In fact, I'm actually wearing my mermaid shirt today. And so that was, obviously, a plus for me.
Right.
But yeah, there was just so much, it was really hard to not ignore, at least, from my perspective.
From where your brain took you.
Yeah.
But that's what makes you great. You started putting all this stuff together, and the way the content you've created sews it all together in a way that's really concise. It makes you one of the great content creators, which is why people like Joe Magician and Robert from Indie Geek love to have you as a guest, because you've always got something great to say.
Yeah, when I'm writing these, is I try and read it out loud to myself, because I want to make sure that it's really understandable for everyone. And I can actually go through like 2 or 3 or even 4 revisions before I'm really happy with how everything kind of turns out. And that's one of the reasons why it takes so long to actually put out a video, is I'm making so many revisions so that I'm able to describe it and explain it, so that everybody, it's clear and concise, and, there's no question.
Right. Well, there's a reason you're loved in this community. There's a reason that you have as many subs as you do, although I think you're criminally undersubscribed.
Oh,
anybody who wants to, anybody who thinks they don't, it's sometimes my brain gets ahead of my mouth. My apologies. Anybody who loves the theory crafting is going to love your channel, because you're not tinfoily either. I think everything you say makes sense. The unfinished road in Essos, and what does that point to, and what does that say about the historical context of the building of the roads, and what does that say about George R. R. Martin's world building? I love it. I love it.
Well, thank you.
Is there a topic you haven't tackled yet that you think you'd really like to?
I actually have I have a Reddit post from a while ago, and it's the only Reddit post where I was gilded, where they kind of give you Reddit gold for.
Okay.
And it was actually fairly highly upvoted as well. It was a pretty popular post, and it's a Melisandre theory, which
I'm intrigued.
Oh,
well, I won't out you. I won't out you, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I like things, but there's a lot of different things that people might find interesting, and so I'd like to do that one. I'd also like to do one on the Voice in the Flames in Kingsblood. I've been meaning to do that. On the fate of Alice Rivers. I'm still not done with my Fire and Blood theories, and the fate of Alice Rivers is one of them. I'd also like to do one on the mechanics of Dragonfire. I kind of tweeted about it a while ago, and I'd like to do one. Yeah, I've got a good handful of things in my pocket.
Right on. I know you're taking a little time off. The kids are off school from the summer and whatnot. But waiting with bated breath for whenever you return, whatever you've got. Speaking of kids, people are asking you to talk about your kids as much as you're comfortable. Obviously you are. We know you have a kid. One of your daughters asks us to hit the like and subscribe at the end of your videos.
Yeah, and my son actually was in, so I have a daughter and a son. They're 10 and 11. So my daughter's 10, my son's 11, and my son actually was in one video, and I can't remember which one it was, but he was in a video at the end, and so you'll kind of hear the difference in the voice. And he's trying to be very like YouTuber-ish. He's like, if you like this video, but yeah, he's in one. But so I have a daughter and a son, Paige and Holden, and yeah, they're awesome. My daughter loves to paint. She's on TikTok. She's a TikToker, and
Okay.
she's always doing like little skits to put onto TikTok, and she's like so excited because she got 5 fans, and she's all telling me about like, I have 5 fans. She's so excited about it. It's great and it's awesome, and she'll show me her little skits and everything. And my son, he's pretty awesome. He's also very artistic, and he is super into video games, so maybe a little bit too much. But he's really awesome. He's about to go into middle school, which is terrifying for me. Yeah, so he's about to go into middle school. But yeah, they're off for the summer, so we're trying to do some fun stuff. We went like to the trampoline park and swimming last week, and the week before, I think it was the week before that, we went to Great Wolf Lodge, and we're trying to get some fun things knocked out this summer. But,
Right on. 10 and 11 is a really good age.
It is.
They're old enough to be reasoned with.
Yes.
But young enough to still fear the wrath of parentage.
Yes, and they're old enough to do chores.
That's an important time.
Which is great. So my son helps me with, taking out the garbage, and they'll help me with the dishes and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. Yeah, so they are at a very good age, but they are starting to get that, at least my son, he's starting to get that age where they're starting to develop a little bit of some sass, which, it is what it is. But
I mean, they can't stay young forever, and
I know, right?
And every age has its ups and downs, and good parts and bad parts. And I find as the older my children get, the more I like them. I mean, the less I overprotective I am, they're my children. I'm still very protective, but like I'm less protective, but more like you're actually somebody who's interesting to talk to. A lot of times, kids' conversations are not the adult level conversations that I crave so much.
Right. I can't wait till they kind of get to that age. I can't wait to see kind of what they're already like super awesome, and my daughter is such a good helper. Like she's so mature for her age. She's like only 10, but she's always trying to do very mature things. Like oh my gosh, the other day she learned how to cook eggs, and I told her that, hey, do not cook any eggs without me. I want to be there. I want to supervise it if you're going to be working on the stove.
Right.
And that naughty little girl, I work nights, so I was asleep, and she decided to make eggs. And I woke up and I go into the kitchen, and she used my wok to make scrambled eggs.
Okay.
That naughty girl.
Did you scratch the heck out of it?
Huge. No, actually, she did okay. She did okay because she knows to use the plastic on the.
Okay, good.
We already,
Right.
We already talked about that. She did okay. She still got, talked to.
Right.
About that, because she knew she used a whole wok to make some scrambled eggs.
Right. A big, I'm assuming a very hard.
Oh yeah.
But that's great. I gotta say, it's always lovely to watch a mother gush about her children. This is the most excited you've been since we started. I just can't help, but point that out. But it sounds like you got a couple really good kids there.
They're pretty cool. I like them, but they're pretty cool. Yeah.
Paige and Holden, and they're making the cross-country trip with you all the way to Nashville.
Yeah. So my husband is out of the country. And so I'm not from here. I live in Colorado now, and I'm not from here. So I don't have really a lot of family or, really a lot of friends other than the people that I work with. nobody that you could leave your kids with for an entire week. And with me, I have a sister who lives in Nashville. So I'm going to be driving cross country with my kids, and they're going to stay at my sister's. My mother lives in Indiana now, so she'll be coming down from Indiana. And yeah,
Sounds like it worked out
so
perfectly.
it'll be good. They'll get to see their aunt and their grandma, and their cousins, and they'll have a great time, doing some fun stuff in Nashville. They'll probably go to the zoo and do some cool stuff. But yeah, so they'll be making the trip with me.
I bet that's going to be a lot of fun.
It should be. I love driving too. I like listening to kind of podcasts and, just kind of going along and relaxing.
Do they travel pretty well?
They do.
That's always a plus.
They do. Oh yes.
Because
yeah.
that's bound to be a long trip.
Yeah, but they do good. And stuff. So, you throw some food back there and their tablets, and they're actually pretty good. They take naps in the car, and they do fine. Not a whole lot of complaining.
I'm a car napper to this day.
Oh yeah, I love car naps. Oh, I love it when other people drive. It is.
So Nessie wanted to know, how did you come to the name Crowfood's daughter, which is also going to lead me to ask, where did you come to the name The Disputed Lands?
Oh, okay. So Crowfood's daughter, I was, trying to, introduce myself into the forums, and you need a forum name. You need a name. And like, I wasn't very inventive at first. And so like the first couple names I like thought to use were completely taken already, which meant that I needed to be a little bit more creative. And a really cool thing with, Crowfood's daughter, first of all, she has no name. And she's very, she's only mentioned kind of like once within the storyline, just briefly and in passing. But I like the theme of the abducted woman. I actually have an entire video discussing that in the Grey King's Mermaid Wife. So I kind of liked what, just that mention in there. I also like House Umber, I like their sigil. I just kind of was drawn to it. And so
that's a giant breaking chains?
Yes. I like that sigil for a number of reasons, which I may eventually even do a video on. But yeah, I really enjoy that sigil, and I talk about a lot about sigils in my videos. I usually mention a sigil, especially when I'm talking about the Ironborn. I'm
right.
Mention sigils, but I really was kind of drawn to it. I wanted something just really obscure, and that nobody else would have. And I was like, I'm gonna be Crowfood's daughter, and I am.
And here you am, and you are the only Crowfood's daughter I know.
I know, right?
Although I do hear there's a Crowfood's daughter's sister.
Oh yeah, well, in Nashville.
Right.
I'm trying to get her to come out with us on the day for the mechanical bull. So if I can convince her, everybody might be able to get, everybody that's going to be there might get a chance to meet her.
Crowfood's other daughter.
Yeah, Crowfood's other daughter, my sister.
So how did you, what made you decide on the name The Disputed Lands for your YouTube channel?
Yeah, so I just was kind of looking, I kind of liked the kind of names of places, and I will name for a theory video, or a theory, channel, because that's mostly what I deal with are theories. And what I'm kind of doing is I'm disputing things. I'm disputing the legend of Naga. I'm disputing the current theories of what the black oily stone is. I've got my own. And so I just kind of liked it because it kind of describes what I'm doing. And so I'm the disputed lens
I
because I'm
got you.
disputing things.
Right. Well, it's a clever play on words,
Yeah.
and that answers my question sufficiently.
Yeah.
So, would you consider yourself a nerd before you found A Song of Ice and Fire?
Yes, but I was more of a nerd in denial. And
Okay.
yeah, like I've always been one and who is into mythology. Like when I was in middle school, that was all I would read. And I've told this story before, you might have heard it, but my English teacher actually made an ultimatum to my parents during a parent-teacher conference. And she said, she told them that I needed to broaden my horizons and that I needed to read something other than mythology, or I need to find a new English teacher. And yeah, and so my parents let me switch teachers. Yeah,
Okay, you have told me that story before. I
yeah,
can't remember where I've heard it,
yeah,
but you
yeah.
said, I'm like, yep, I've heard that one. That's
Mhm. Yeah, I've
that's
I've
a good.
always been into like mythology, and when I was younger, I would play ninjas, and when I would play ninjas, I made my own ninja costumes, and I'm talking about I was probably a little bit older than kids who play ninjas normally are. Um, I would be walking around with my friend. I was just like some random kid walking around, and we had our little ninja costumes, and we like walk around, like, and this was in the country. So if you can imagine like driving around like a country like road, like a cornfield or something, and just seeing these random kids in ninja costumes, that was me. um, yeah,
Couple. I can
yeah,
just imagine. I mean, I didn't live near cornfields, but I did live in the country,
yeah.
in the Texas Hill Country, which is rocky hills and a bunch of trees. And I've seen some stuff like maybe a couple of kids in ninja costumes out running around, having fun, being kids.
Yeah, we actually had a car stop once and asked if we were runaways. They're like, no, we're just playing ninjas.
Right.
But yeah, I've always been nerdy, but I've embraced it more as an adult.
Right on. So, would you? My channel is about celebrating the love of fandom on some level, and A Song of Ice and Fire is the fandom that brought together most of the people I know. But there are lots of fandoms to love and celebrate out there, and I'm just curious as to what is it that Amanda, other than A Song of Ice and Fire, really just can't get enough of.
Yeah, so I like Disney. I like fairy tales and Disney, and I'm a fan of the TV show Vikings. Um, Yeah, and I know that you've mentioned that you're also a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. When that was going on, I was a huge, Angel and Buffy fan. Yeah, that was like the TV show for me when it was going on. But I guess the biggest thing that I'm really a fan of is definitely, other than A Song of Ice and Fire, is mythology.
Right.
And Arthurian legends and Arthurian legends and fairy tales and just different times histories. Those are all things that just really enthrall me. So yeah, those are the things that really excite me
Uh,
as far as fandoms go.
right on. Michikam asks, and I quote, "Ask her what Disney film best jiggles her mythology bone."
Oh gosh. Well, Hercules, obviously, that's a huge uh adaptation. Of course they moved a lot of things around in order to make that work, but Hercules is going to be an obvious one. The Little Mermaid is also an obvious one when it comes to fairy tales. Those are the kind of big standout ones. Quasimodo, another legend.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some good standout ones.
I really enjoyed The Little Mermaid a lot. I
Yeah.
mean, as you get older and you have female young ones, you start to see the difficulty with some of the messaging in Disney movies. But I still loved that movie. I loved the music. It came out at a time where I mean, I was probably a young teen, and I thought Ariel was hot. You know, it's
Oh, she
probably
is. She's totally hot.
she is. You
I
know,
mean, redhead. She's adorable. Yeah.
yep. Between Ariel and Willow Rosenberg on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I have a well documented weakness for redheads. That's all I'm going to say. Moving on. I did mention Buffy, and that is probably my second favorite show of all time. If I'm going to hold up Game of Thrones as my favorite, which I'm not sure I do. Um, and I might put Firefly above Buffy. Have you ever watched Firefly?
No, I have not.
Ooh, okay.
Do I need to?
You absolutely need to.
Yeah.
And it's going to break your heart because it's only like 14 episodes, and then they did a movie. But like, it was doomed because of the terrible way Fox handled it. But if you like Buffy, it's Joss Whedon. If you like the Avengers style humor,
Joss Whedon.
Firefly was meant to be his masterpiece, and it's even with what little you get, it is fantastic.
I'll
It
definitely
is
have to check that
it is
out.
the only show I ever consider never had a misstep. Now, again, it only went for half a season, but like I think it's basically perfect. And I'm seeing a lot of like love for Firefly in the chat too. If you see brown coats, a brown coat is a Firefly fan. It's so good, and it's a really great mix of like spaghetti western almost with true science fiction, humans trying to colonize a new solar system. But that's how they can get away with blending these western elements because it's very frontier world type stuff. And it's about a group of people who are just trying to make it at the edge of civilization, and they're in over their head, and they're some of them are criminals, and oh, it's so good, so good.
Nice.
It was meant to be Joss Whedon's masterpiece. But yeah, I love Firefly. But Buffy, there's going to be an episode, and I want to have you on since you're now a fan, a known fan, where we talk about Buffy and why people who haven't watched it should.
Oh yeah, it was a great show, and it went on for like what, 8 seasons?
I think it's 7.
Okay, yeah, it went on for quite a few seasons, and I really enjoyed the way that they developed because it's hard to develop a character after they finish high school, when they're in high school and they're kind of doing that thing when they move on to whatever is going on after high school. It's really hard character, and I thought they did some really cool things with her with that.
Yeah,
so.
I don't want to dig into it too deep, but there's a lot of symbolism and metaphor to unpack in that show. A lot of it is the way that dialogue builds things thematically. But I've read books, I've seen college lectures about the writing in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, just because it changed television in a way where like season-long arc storytelling became almost the norm nowadays. Anyway, I digress. We're here to talk about Amanda, not Buffy. We'll talk about her some other day. So, Amanda, when you were in the Army and you were stationed in Korea, was that the experience of a lifetime, or was that, at 18, moving to another country where I'm sure you didn't know the language? Of course you're on an American military base, but you leave the base and all of a sudden, people are speaking Korean. What was that like? I've never been to Korea, so I'm just curious as to, what was that experience?
It was super interesting. I had never been to a foreign country before. I had never ridden in public transportation before. I'd never ridden on like public trains before. It was like, and I'm like, you know, super wet behind the ears. I'm just graduating high school, just got out of basic training, you know, hardly ever got out of Nebraska. And I am in this like completely different country, which is cool. And I got to eat all these different cool foods, you know, just experience like marketplaces, that like stuff that you don't, you know, see in Nebraska. You know, I like you know, learn how to like borrow some really basic, you know, words in the language, like, you know, how much, you know, omayo, and, you know, you tell the cab driver over here, over there, you know, yogi, yoshi, and all those different things. It was just a really eye-opening experience. I trying to like go to the different restaurants that like are supposed to be American, like Pizza Hut. There's a Pizza Hut in Seoul, and they put corn on their pizza. It's like super weird, and you know, just
I mean, I could
all
try
these
it.
different things. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, it was a really. I'd love to go back. I'd love to go back. And have you ever had soju before?
No, I have not.
Yeah. So I guess the drinking age in Korea at the time, it might have changed. This has been like 20 years ago. But at the time it was 19. However, when you card you, probably because they probably didn't know how to read the ID
Right.
cards, but they didn't card you. They just kind of assumed you were probably 19. And so when I would go off, you know, I was basically, you know, kind of like drinking age. Nobody would card you. You'd go out, you'd have fun, you'd go to the clubs. So I kind of was introduced to that, you know, at a fairly, you know, early age. And it's cool. You know, I tried to, you know, trying to figure out how to use their toilets, because they do have some of those toilets that are like holes in the floor. When you're intoxicated is very difficult.
Right.
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's a really neat, you know, experience for, you know, somebody who barely been out of Nebraska to go and experience and, you know, and be there for an entire year.
I, I'm sorry, I have to answer a question. Drinks and Knows says drinking age 19. What was the knowing age? And of course, the knowing age is 42.
What's that?
The knowing age is 42, of course.
Oh, 42. I'm not there yet. A few more years. A few more years. I'll start
You're
knowing.
getting you're closer than I thought you were when I met you.
Yeah.
You're a very
Yeah.
youthful. You have a youthful appearance, for which you
Yeah.
should be very glad.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just turned 38 in April.
Well, happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Hope it was a good one. You don't look
Yeah.
a day over 37.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. There's definite sincerity in there.
Yes. So, are you doing any cosplay this year at the con?
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
who are
I'm
you
gonna
willing to
be,
share, or are they surprises?
well, I'm gonna go as Wenda the Fawn.
Wenda the White Fawn.
Yes.
Are you going to brand people's asses?
I was looking at them, but I thought about it. I did think about it, but I'm gonna be Wenda the White Fawn.
Okay, good deal. Just on Saturday, then I'm assuming.
Yeah, well, I'm not even sure if it's going to be on Saturday because I'm not going to go to the cosplay contest. So I could really do it any day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
You could, but Saturday's the
Yeah,
day everybody's looking to
it
take
kind of,
pictures.
yeah, yeah, it kind of is.
Um, and you're doing several panels as well, aren't you?
Yes,
Are,
yes.
do you wanna entice people to coming to the con by telling them what panels they can see you on?
Sure. So Friday, like, you know, right out the gates, we have a panel, like one of the very first time slots, 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. And if you liked my video on the Grey King's Mermaid Wife, we are going to be talking about the character of Nissa Nissa, that myth, that legend. And we're also going to be talking about the different variations of, the monomyth and everything. So if you like that video, it's going to be myself, Melanie Lot 7, and Maester Mary. So come and check that one out. And then on Saturday, I have a panel with Joe Magician and some other people who escape my memory at the moment. But it should be a good one, and it's on Rhaegar. So Joe, or Matt, and myself, we did some stuff on Targaryen prophecy. I did a Baylor the Blessed video. We did a live stream on Targaryen prophecy, and it's going to play a lot into that panel. So if you liked that discussion, you'll get more of that in that panel. And then on the final day, I have another panel on the Age of Heroes, and that's going to be with Quinn Robert from Indie Geek and Justin Thomas from Top Shelf Fandom. And that should be really good too. So I definitely talk about a lot about the myths and legends, going back to the Long Night. So that'll be pretty cool. We'll talk a little bit about the prequel. And then I've also got a panel with Robert and JR from Geek Chat 1. And we're going to be talking about the parallels between the Second Siege of Constantinople and the Battle of the Blackwater. And that's it.
Very cool. I mean, you got some don't miss panels there, as long as they don't conflict with my panels.
I know, right?
I'm doing 4 as well, and I'm also working the trivia challenge. So, but yeah. All of that stuff sounds great, and you've got some great co-panelists with you too, so you must be really excited.
Yes.
Okay, Lauren of Lauren's Corner has a question for Amanda. I've heard you got some sword skills and that there is a battle ring. Would you be up for a battle with me? LOL.
Oh yeah, anybody. Lauren, I will so fight you. Come and have fun. It is so much fun. I will definitely fight you, and anybody that wants to come fight, I would love to fight you, because it's a lot of fun. It's a great workout, and you got to hit people with sticks. Hey.
Right. I mean, I've done it before. I did not fight you last year. Like I say, I was too busy socializing with everyone. But this year, it's definitely happening. I've got to put my money where my mouth is, step up to the plate, and face the foam blade of the Mermaid Queen.
Yeah, please do it. It'll be lots of fun.
Michi Cam wants to know if any of your theories have changed since the HBO ending. I think that's a great question. Have you revisited anything and had a change of heart?
That's a very good question.
I thought so too.
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. I've had some ideas about, and I haven't put it in the video, but I talked about it in a live stream. So there is, so the answer is kind of yes. I had a lot of thoughts about Jaehaerys and Alysanne, and I still kind of do, because it's really difficult to see, how the Maesters are portraying it in Fire and Blood. But I speculated, and I still kind of do, that one of them, I thought it was Jaehaerys, but it turns out that it was Alysanne. I speculated that one of them was very bookish, and that's a key word, okay?
Right.
And when they're talking about people who are, it's more of a hint towards what are they reading,
Right.
And of course you have Signs and Portents, that is a kind of mysterious missing book that was written by Daenerys Targaryen. And a lot of us, when we hear bookish, I believe that, that's kind of like, hey, what are they reading?
Right. To me, bookish means probably a sorcerer.
Well, that they're reading something, and it's I speculate that they probably are looking at prophecy, signs and portents, stuff like that. Rhaegar, with when they talk about Baelor the Blessed, oh, he was bookish, like Baelor the Blessed, born again, and then you have other people like the first Ares, and he was listening to prophecy, and he was quite bookish, and he was like he made Bloodraven his hand, basically like hold himself up and was reading prophecy. So when you hear that keyword bookish, I do believe that it is kind of like a keyword or code word for they might be into maybe prophecy or the higher mysteries. And so I speculated that some of the things that they were doing were more so preparation for some of those prophecies than for just the good of the realm. And I kind of still do on a couple things, especially when it comes to preparation of the Night's Watch. So yeah. But it seems like there's a couple of the things that they were done more just so for the good of the realm. But when it comes to the Night's Watch, I still think that there's something going on there.
Right on.
Does that answer the question?
I think it answers it as well as you can, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the end of the show, George says, well, in the broad strokes, yes, it's going to be similar, but that could mean that in the books, the things that happen with Daenerys play out with young Griff. It could literally mean that.
Mm-hmm. There's some excellent posts on Reddit if you guys get the chance, after.
I'm afraid of Reddit.
Oh, well, you don't have to, if you don't want to participate, you don't have to, but it's pretty well moderated, and give it a shot if you ever want to. But there's a great post on Reddit. There's a couple of them that talk about the how D&D had to kind of develop the storyline without Griff, and how that really complicated a lot of things, because Daenerys and possibly Jon Snow both had to take on some of those story arcs, which kind of really confuse and complicate things.
And maybe Cersei too.
So, yeah.
Do you think that's possible? I mean, like, I find myself wondering, and I don't know if you want to turn this into we speculate about A Song of Ice and Fire, but clearly it's something you enjoy doing, and I do too. And I find young Griff to be a fascinating character, just because we don't know enough about him yet, and his absence, because he's set up to be such a big part of the coming books, and his absence in the television show means that's a huge stone thrown into that pond, and it's got to have a lot of ripples.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely there are, and it's really hard to speculate right now, who took on what things, but some of the posters on Reddit do go into some speculation on that. So if you get the chance, go onto Reddit.
Well, it'll be a little while. I've got 4 panels to still get ready for.
Okay, yeah, but just
post-con, maybe so.
Maybe, I don't know. But they're really good, so I recommend.
Cool. Well, if one of the mods wants to drop a link to said type Reddit posts, that would be great. I see that Bernie can't. She's banned from Reddit because she's a bad girl. But
no. Yeah, so I don't know the title, but there's a couple of them that discuss it. So if you check it out, you can.
Right on. I do love a good theory. I love a good theory though. Tinfoil usually makes me go ugh, but the absence of young Griff and the ripples it creates, that's kind of a fascinating topic. Because he's one of the bigger missing players. I think him and Ariane Martell are both felt a lot by not being in the show.
Oh, absolutely. People that were very disappointed by the Dorne storyline, and it definitely could have used some improving. And Ariane might have been a good answer for that, but you'll never know now.
Right? 15 years from now, they're going to remake it anyway.
Yeah, you never know.
Maybe 20. We'll see. But this is one of those stories that's going to resonate for a long time. Just the way that the Lord of the Rings has. I firmly believe that. Oh, crap. I had a question and it just escaped my mind. Oh, so do I remember that you're also a Star Wars fan?
I'm a fan of the original Star Wars,
Okay.
but not so much the newer stuff.
Okay. Just the old school OG
Old school, yes, yeah.
Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, and yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I grew up on those movies myself. Do you ever play?
Yeah, I'm a fan of things. Yeah, I like the old school Star Wars.
So, do you recognize that then as fantasy and mythology?
Well, of course, there's always going to be some fantasy elements in sci-fi, just because it's basically kind of fantasized science. There's going to be stuff in there. There's going to be like sandworms, which are just all different kind of ideas when it comes to, I guess, the hero's journey. You've got like the hidden prince. You've got all those elements going on. It's very cool.
Yeah,
And that's why it makes it a good story.
I do love me some Star Wars and that hero's journey, but like that archetype really is it's pretty universal, but like some of the oldest examples of it are those mythology stories you were reading in middle school
Oh yeah, like with that they hiding the sun and all of that other stuff because the father, and oh that harkens back to Uranus and Cronus and all those kinds of things.
Right on. So, we've established that you love mythology, but can you maybe pontificate on why you loved it so much as a kid?
Yeah, I don't know. So let's see. I kind of read some mythology stories kind of early, and I enjoyed them when we went to the library. And we go to the library a lot. So my mother was a major in English and literature. And so she would take us to the library a lot. And most of the time it was for, her own purposes, but she'd kind of let us loose in the library. And I would always gravitate towards. It was fun. She'd give me a bunch of nickels, and I'd play with the copy machine, and copy pictures of Zeus, and all kinds of different things. I don't know. I just found it very, very interesting, and so much different than reading Anne of Green Gables or
right.
It was just very cool.
So
I just liked it.
Maybe like the epic scale of things that were happening and the magic that was happening.
Yeah, and just so so bizarre, and how these gods can have such humanistic qualities, like jealousy and rage, and how they can be so flawed. And when you're going to like parochial school, you're being taught that that God is like this, wise and benevolent and perfect, and he loves everybody. And then you get these like gods that are just vengeful and angry and got mad, and I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, I remember loving mythology when I was younger as well. I was maybe a little bit more, I don't know, and maybe I'm miscategorizing you. I had a very broad love of mythology. Like I knew Greek stuff, but I don't know it as well as you do. But like I dug into Egyptian mythology and then Norse mythology, and eventually, you start looking at things like Sumerian mythology and Chinese and
Yeah.
Japanese, and yeah, I've loved it all. Now I've never done a deep dive on any of it, but like uh, I can't blame you. Those are some fantastic stories, and they tell a lot about the cultures that wrote them too.
Exactly what they value, and the
And
role of men, and the role of women, and the role of, like the religious figures, and kind of those are desirable, just all different, kinds of things. It's just, such a cool little, like a lens into their culture and everything. I just find it completely interesting.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. Um, so, do you have a favorite, like a favorite god or a favorite story?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't particularly have, I actually, you know what? Cupid and Psyche, I kind of like.
Okay,
I kind of like Cupid and Psyche. Kind of like those kind of like love stories where it doesn't work out. Um, yeah, that's kind of one of my favorites, actually.
okay, that's cool.
But on and as far as like cultures go, I'm reading a lot more of Celtic myth, and I'm really enjoying it a lot. Um, there is a cool story with the Dagda and this uh, God. His son is, it's like a son. His name is like Angus, and it's a really cool parallel to Land the Clever and Garth Greenhand. And
Right
that's
on.
kind of an interesting thing that I'm looking at. But yeah, I'm kind of enjoying Celtic mythology right now.
Right on. I don't know my Celtic mythology that well, but I know there's Fomorians and there's a place called Tir na Nog, and
Yeah.
the she, and it's interesting, and probably know more about it now because of people doing analysis on A Song of Ice and Fire than I did even when I was reading mythology more actively in my as a younger man. Um, have you looked at Chinese mythology much? Because I think you might really enjoy that as a new avenue.
Yeah, you scared. You know you're next.
Did I lose you?
What's that? No.
Okay, I was just asking you. Do you know much about Chinese mythology? Because
Chinese. Oh, you must have cut out. You've been cutting out a little.
okay, I've been having that problem with you as well. I'm just I'm doing my best to I'm
Ah,
catching
no.
97% of
So,
what you're saying, but
so not a whole lot with the Far Eastern
mm,
mythologies. I really haven't done a whole lot with them. Um, from what I have encountered, it's very interesting and cool. Um, yeah, I just haven't really ventured
uh,
that far out, really.
I'm with you, and I'm sure that a lot of the mythology stuff you're reading these days, I would assume, is in support of some of your theory crafting work. And George is a lot more likely to draw on Eastern or on Western and European sources than he is, Chinese. But it's definitely in there.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
and
I mean,
I
just look at Naga. I mean,
yeah, and I think there's like the woman with a monkey tail. I think it's maybe a nod to Sun Wukong, which is a fantastic mythological character. I'm sure you know him,
oh yeah. Oh
yeah,
yeah. I'm absolutely familiar. Born from Stone.
right? A stone monkey, yes.
Yes.
Which is, again, raising dragons from stone, and he wasn't a dragon, but he was a monkey that became a god.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think there's definitely parallels there.
Oh, absolutely.
He's probably my favorite mythological character is Sun Wukong, just because he's like,
Oh, really?
oh yes, he is so chaotic and he's so unpredictable, and he gets the best of everyone he comes across, even like the Emperor of Heaven. You know, he
Yeah.
can't be outsmarted or out tricked. I love Sun Wukong. He's fantastic.
Well, that's yeah. I mean, he's definitely has, from what I've heard, he has some great stuff. You know, Hercules kind of, you know, goes through a lot of different trials and tribulations and ends up, for the most part, coming out on top, except when it comes to women. That's his
Yeah.
Achilles heel. But yeah, he goes through a lot of different trials and tribulations and gains different, you know, different things like his lion's pelts and different things. It's he gains his poisoned arrows and his different weapons and kind of goes through kind of the same kind of a journey, I guess.
Right. Sorry, you cut out for me for just a second there, so I was waiting to catch up. Oh my God, dog, what are you doing? Please stop that. Sorry, my dog is like digging in the couch. Come here. Come here.
Oh yeah.
Come here, puppy. You have puppies too. You have big puppies.
I have big
You have
puppies. I've got 3 dogs and I have a cat too. Yeah, my dogs would eat your dog.
Yeah. If you
It'd be
put
like a tiny morsel.
this is one of 2, and this is Xander. And if you put Xander and Willow together, they weigh 20 pounds.
Yeah.
This is the good one, but he's digging in the couch right now, and you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah. So my dogs put together weigh about 300 pounds.
Right.
Yeah.
You have much larger dogs than I do.
Yeah.
But I don't. I live in a townhouse with this very small backyard. It would be almost cruel to have a big dog here. But so, what kind of dogs do you have?
So I have one that's Great Pyrenees, and that's my geriatric dog, and her name is Lady, and she's immortal. And we were told that Great Pyrenees live like between like 10 and 11, and she's going on 14. And she's, you know, for her age, she gets around pretty darn well. So we've figured out that she may actually be immortal, which is cool because she's pretty cool.
Fingers crossed that you're right.
Yeah, you never know. So that's our immortal dog, Lady. And then we have another dog that is half Great Pyrenees and half Golden Retriever, and that is Jack. And he's a good boy, and he's pretty big too. And then our little dog is actually a pit bull mix, and that's Bruiser. So yeah, that's the one that had to get knee surgery. He had a complete tear of his ACL.
Ooh. But he made recovery?
And it kind of, because I actually kind of had to help carry him around a little for the first few days and everything, and he's kind of big. So yeah.
Right on. I mean, I love dogs. The best dog I ever had was a retriever mix.
Mm-hmm.
Goodest doggo. Goodest doggo.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my Jack's a handsome boy too. Oh, he's such a good looking dog.
Right on. I've seen them on the stream here and there sometimes.
Yeah.
And you know, shamelessly exploiting your pets to make people watch your videos is a real thing in this space. So we're just giving the people what they really want anyway.
Well, there you go. Well, they're so loud. I try and keep them out because when they start barking, it just gets so loud.
I don't doubt that.
It does, because all 3 of them will start going, and they got these like loud booming voices. It's a lot.
Well, you know, that's why it's a good thing they can't use doorknobs, I guess.
Well, there you go.
So Amanda, when we are in Nashville, you've said you need to take a spin around the dance floor.
Yes.
Yes. And yeah. So do you and your husband like to go dancing when he's available? Is that a thing you guys do?
Yeah, well, okay, we did when we were dating, and then we got married, and he decided his back hurts and he doesn't want to go dancing anymore. So this is like one of the very few opportunities where I can actually go to a country bar and get an opportunity to dance. So yeah, I don't anymore, but when I was younger, it was like one of the funnest things that I would do, is go out dancing. So so I can't wait to dance, and I'm super excited. And if anybody wants them, so yeah.
Yeah, I used to go dancing in my early 20s a lot too. To the country bars. Yeah, I'm really not much of a country music fan, but like it's hard to deny, the draw to a young man of a dance club. It was fun. I enjoyed it, but
And that's what they have in Texas, and it's fun.
right, sure. Um, so is country music your favorite music? Is that what you're listening to when you pop on the car radio?
Yeah, actually it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I like some of the, I'm not as much of a fan of the newer stuff as I am the older, like 1990s, early 2000s
Okay.
Music. It's becoming a little bit too mainstream.
Okay, a little bit too poppy and
Yeah,
rockified.
yeah. I and sometimes I like to listen to some of the more vintage stuff, like Conway Twitty and Elvis
Yeah, I
and stuff. It's kind of, but yeah, one of my favorite songs is actually You Never Call Me by My Name.
oh man,
Because it's so fun. It's a fun song.
is that David Allan Coe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
Yeah,
like the Texas theme song.
it is
everybody in
like
Texas
the
knows it.
country. It is the most country song of all time, and it
Yes.
has.
It is
and
the
it has a
perfect
verse.
country western song.
And if you don't know it, there is a verse in the song that explains
Why it is the perfect
why
country
it is
western
the
song.
perfect country song.
Yes.
And it is fantastic. I'm a lover of the Man in Black. I love Johnny Cash.
Oh
So,
yeah, Johnny Cash, absolutely.
but I kind of have a deep singing voice, so his music is good for me at karaoke night. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll be standing back listening to everybody doing the karaoke, giving my support, but I will not be up there with y'all.
Until we play You Never Even Call Me by My Name by David Allan Coe, and everybody gets up there to sing. I bet we'd get you up there for a group sing.
You know what? If I get intoxicated enough, I probably would.
All right.
So we'll see. But
So I know Questing Beast is in the chat. Nessie, you have a new mission. Make sure Amanda gets drunk enough to sing with us at karaoke night. Because I can't wait. That's going to be a blast. So you're not much of a karaoke singer, huh?
yeah, I'm not. You've
Fair
been warned. You've been warned.
Hey, man, karaoke is like dancing. It's something you don't have to be good at it to enjoy it.
No, and I do enjoy it. When I'm listening to it, I have a blast.
Right. I'm with you. Some people don't want to sing, and I'm not one to pressure anybody into making an ass of them, or maybe not necessarily making an ass of themselves, but like putting themselves out there in a social situation. That's just not my bag of tea at all.
Yeah, and I'm usually down for whatever, but karaoke singing, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
I mean.
But I get it. Not everybody wants to do that even, or is comfortable doing that. I was a singer my whole life, so it's 3 minutes of being a rock star to me, and I love that. But so I'm gonna win the karaoke contest between me and Amanda.
I'll be rooting for you.
But and I'm going to continue to talk smack about winning the whole bull riding challenge until I get thrown off, like basically immediately. But I intend to win that thing.
Well, hey, you know what? Even the second, they have like prizes like 3 down. So there's even if you aren't first, there's hope. There's hope. So.
Right. Yeah. There's a.
So I'm just hoping to, because all those prizes look pretty cool. So
yeah.
If I don't get first, I'm not going to worry about it. But I do want to get one of those prizes.
Do you have a Nancy T blanket?
No, I do not. I've heard they're amazing.
I have one, and it is
Really?
fantastic.
Yeah, that's why I'm so excited. I'm like, I don't necessarily need to win first. I just want to win one of them.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, some people were saying because they announced they're like, there's going to be a crystal trophy for first place, and then like second place gets a blanket, and people were saying that should be the first place. You know,
Right?
she's
Yeah.
the mother of blankets is well known and loved in this fandom, and you know, I hope you should. I bet you met her at the con last year, and you just didn't know it.
Probably did. I'm so bad with names and faces. I am. And so my husband is like super like social and has all bad because like they're guys in the military, they all have like the same haircut and they all kind of act similar and
Mm.
they also kind of wear the same clothing, and when they're not in their uniform they kind of all kind of dress alike too. There's obvious exceptions, for everything, but at least with my husband's group of friends, they all like have the same haircuts, they dress alike, they all go hunting, so he'll bring them over and they'll come over a couple times and they'll be like, oh, hey, you remember me? And I used to play along and you're like, yeah, hey, how are you? But after a while, I'm just like, no.
No, you
You
look
are.
like 5 other guys I've met a few times.
Yeah, which one are you? But so
Tell
yeah,
them.
I'm really bad with names and faces.
Well, I'm fortunate in that, like I always had a beard, but I used to keep my beard trimmed very short, you know, until I was like, I'm going to cosplay at the first Con of Thrones, and I started growing it out, and people were like, "You're that guy with the beard," and so for the last 2 years, I've been that guy with the beard, and it definitely helps people.
It's very iconic. It is very
People know
iconic.
who I am based on it now, you know.
Mhm. Yeah,
Oh no,
it's very.
Carrie, that sucks. I'm sorry, I just happened to look down at the chat, and Carrie, I'm sorry to hear about your uncle passing away.
Oh,
Does that mean you're not making it to the con? Because I know you were gonna be there. Anyway, everybody, our condolences to Carrie and her family. I'm sorry to hear that. She's a very sweet lady, Carrie is. Anyway, I don't want to turn this into something, depressing, but love for you, Carrie. I hope you're doing all right. So, I'm sorry that derailed my thought process for a second.
you were talking about your beard.
Oh, that's all. Just tell your husband's friends, one of them to grow an epic beard, and you'll
They
remember
can't.
that.
They can't. They
I
can't.
know they can. I know they can.
It's okay.
Tell them to grow a Weasley little mustache. The army will let you have a Weasley little mustache.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah, they can.
Okay,
They
good.
can.
Carrie's still going to the con. Well, then I'll see you there, and you get a big hug. Or Amanda, if you want to stand out more, you could try growing a big epic beard. I bet you'd look great with a beard.
You know what's funny is at work, the girls at work dared me to come to work with a unibrow, and I totally did.
How do you connect your eyebrows into a unibrow?
You just use it like an eyebrow
Just
pencil
a
and you make
pencil and
little
just
like wispy, and it looks super natural. And I had like the previous shift, one of the ladies was just like figure out what was going on with my face. It was
That's
funny.
hilarious.
I wiped it off after like the first 20 minutes after everybody got a good laugh. But then the rest of the day we were just making jokes. I was like, my name is Una Brau. It was a
Sounds
lot of
like
fun. I had a lot of fun with the girls at work.
yeah. I can't wait for the day when I'm allowed to have a green mohawk. That's the day I'm looking forward to.
Well, there you go.
But my current profession doesn't allow it. But someday, mark your words, it's happening. Even if I'm 65 when it happens, I'm having a green mohawk. So
And it's easier to do that once your hair lightens.
yeah,
So there you go.
yeah, my hair is naturally quite dark. I mean, I know it looks kind of like now I've got a lot of gray hairs in there. Like this is all gray in my beard. Um, but yeah, my hair is kind of silvery, and I think it'll take color really well in the not too distant future. But you talked about making a unibrow work. So would you like to talk about work? What you do now?
What's that? Here, you cut out.
Okay. Would you like to talk about what you do for a living now?
Sure. So I'm a psych nurse. I work at a state-run forensic facility that mostly houses patients who either have charges and are incompetent to proceed, or they have been found NGRI, which is not guilty by reason of insanity.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're a psychiatric nurse?
Yes. Yeah. Psych nurse. Yeah.
That's an interesting line of work there. I can't imagine that's the easiest job you've ever had. Well, I don't know. If you were in the army and then you went to this, maybe it is.
Every job has its challenges. So
Sure.
there's things that I love about my job, and there are obviously downsides to it too. But one thing, I've been in the job force basically since I was 13 years old. So a long time I've been in the workforce, and
Right.
I've done several things, and what I found is that it's very hard to find a job that you're happy in. The grass is always greener on the other side, and the thing is that work is work. Like it's not always going to be fun. That's why they pay you.
Right.
But sometimes people can find those jobs where everything just clicks, and they love it and they love going to work. And a lot of the times I do love going to work. I love the ladies that I work with. I work night shifts, so it's a little bit slower. I like the pace. I like, there's different aspects of it. And the thing is that you kind of, unless, where you're working is completely horrible, you just kind of got to learn to, I guess, look on the brighter side of things, really. I work there, but I actually, a lot of the times I have a lot of fun doing it.
Right on. Well, I mean, I understand that some of the people you're working with are, there's probably some confidentiality things, but like, do you not feel that your job is, say, dangerous? You're working with people who.
Yeah, there is a level of danger.
Is that an attractive quality in your job to you?
I guess I kind of go for dangerous things.
Which is why I asked that question. You're legendary for your sword fighting skills. You're ready to jump on the dragon. You did 9 years in the army. I can imagine a job where there's an adrenaline rush every now and then being something you might really enjoy.
Yeah, there are those times. There definitely can be those times, and for the most, different dangers and stuff like that. But there are some times, but yeah, for the most part, when I weigh everything, I actually do enjoy what I do. And,
well, that's all you can really ask for, a job that doesn't make you want to stay in bed.
There you go.
And I really enjoy that Sarah Isabel is calling you a psychic nurse.
A psychic nurse. That's
yeah.
Awesome.
That would be.
I wish I was psychic. That would be great.
So we've got about 20 minutes left before I have to let you go, and there are a few more fun style questions I want to ask you. Okay.
Sure.
So let's ask. If you could have one superpower, and literally just one, and I might fight you if you have more than one.
That's such a hard question.
Yeah, it's not an easy one, but there's a reason that you ask it, because it's a
one
hard
superpower.
One.
I would to cook. I'm freaking horrible at
it. Cooking is a superpower, according to Amanda.
It is, and I can't do it. I'd love to do that. But above flying and all that other shit, I am horrible. I will burn Jello. For real.
So I think we need to find a way to have you bitten by a radioactive souffle,
I know, right?
and then you'll be like cooking
Mhm.
woman and
Yeah, yeah. I can do real basic stuff, like
gosh,
spaghetti.
you
Like the
set the
most
bar really low there,
I
Amanda.
know, I'm sorry. I can do like the most intense thing I can do is lasagna. I can make a lasagna and I think I make it pretty good. But I'm not very good at it.
Well, that's, hey, at least you've got a very practical set of superpowers. And I
Yeah.
imagine that if it's a superpower, you're going to be the best at it in the world. So fingers crossed that we find that irradiated food stuff later.
Yeah, I love to do some of those things. I occasionally watch those shows where they like make these amazing things. I'd love to do that, but I'm not very
Have
good
you ever
at
seen
it.
any of those cooking shows where they cook with chemistry and they like make hot ice cream or
Yeah,
like,
like
yeah,
gastronomy,
gastronomic
something.
chemistry?
Yeah, something. Yeah, I've seen that. That's cool. That's super
It
cool.
is.
I'd love to do something. I'd totally take cooking over flying because I mean, it's pretty useful.
Able to dress a turkey in a single bound. Indeed, Miji can.
Bernie, date some chefs. That's what I did. Yeah,
I mean, we all have our ways of. I would have watched a YouTube video about it, how to be a good cook.
yeah, I am just not good. And it got worse when I got here to Colorado because there's like this whole
Yep.
atmospheric elevation, like take into consideration when you make things, which adds like a whole new layer of difficulty, like when you're
Yeah,
baking,
yeah, and
because
water boils
it
at a
throws
lower
everything off.
temperature.
Yeah, it throws everything
Yeah.
off. Yeah, so once I've moved to Colorado, I've gotten even worse.
It's weird to think
Yeah.
about, I moved to a different state and my cooking skills decreased, but like, I guess I see it. So Amanda, let's make a movie about Amanda's life.
Okay, let's do it.
Who plays Amanda?
Oh, who?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. No.
Come on, you got to fan cast yourself.
I got to fan cast myself.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna fan cast you if you don't do it yourself.
Okay, so I don't know.
Okay.
I
I've given you enough time. I'm the casting director now. I want Natalie Dormer to play Amanda.
well hey, that'll work. I will take Natalie Dormer.
Right?
There we go.
I think you've got a little bit of a similar look.
Oh, well, that's a compliment. Thank you.
Well, hey, nobody's denying that you're an attractive woman. But I also think she's a really great actress, and we've seen her do more actiony stuff, and I think she could play like the army bits well, but she could be a loving, caring mother too.
Yeah, Bernie says Jessica Biel. I used to get that when I was a lot younger. When I was in my 20s, I used to get that. Yeah.
I'm seeing, Charisma Carpenter. There's another Buffy shout out. Charisma Carpenter, Jessica Alba, Anne Hathaway. There's a good bit of love for different actresses out there. Who would you want to direct the movie of your life if you get to have somebody's unique visual style imprinted on your movie?
Oh, these are questions I've never even considered before.
I know, that's why I asked them.
Oh, so random. Well, Joss Whedon. There we go.
You know what? That is a hell of a good answer.
There we go.
A hell of a good answer.
We'll take it.
Right? And finally, what is the title of the Amanda movie?
Oh, I don't know. God, Steven, stop it.
I know.
Stop it. Next question.
Okay. Next question.
I don't know.
Well, that's the whole point of those questions, though, is to back you into a corner and
I know. Back me into a corner. I have no idea what I'm going to call the story of my life.
Right. Well, that's real.
I hardly know what I'm going to eat tonight for supper. Like, I mean, you're just putting all kinds of layers on right now.
And you're handling yourself with poison grace,
Oh, thank
as
you.
I knew you would. Um, so,
Oh, I love you, Bernie. There we go. Bernie, she did it.
burnt Jello. That's fantastic. Yeah, Courtney's like, he backed me into a corner too. You're right, I did, and I do it on purpose, and that's okay. No hard feelings here. I'm not trying to make anybody uncomfortable, but I like springing things on you. So hey, one last fun one before we start moving towards wrapping up, and it's a little bit more like back towards the fandom that we all share and love in A Song of Ice and Fire. If you were going to pitch a prequel TV show, as they are trying to make at least one of now, other than whatever it is they're actually working on, what would you like to see? I mean, I have a theory about what you might say, but what would be your like perfect prequel show?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd love to see that. The further back into history, the better. I definitely, especially with those Dragon Origins videos, I'd like to see what was going on there.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I'd like to see. And I'm kind of wondering what they're actually doing with this prequel, because they mentioned how Valyria is just starting to rise. And so we're actually seeing them right at the zenith of when they actually break off kind of from the Great Empire in a way.
Right.
And so that's kind of, I think that's going to be very, very interesting, because if they actually do borrow some of that Great Empire lore, we may actually learn a few things, which is kind of cool.
I can't disagree. I mean, I would watch the heck out of that show.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm super excited. That's why I pitched the Age of Heroes and Long Night panel. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's definitely one I'm making it to. I don't think that one conflicts. That's your Saturday one, is that right?
Sunday.
Sunday.
Okay. Sunday. Yep.
Well, I hope I'm not conflicting with it, but yeah, I'm a sucker for the history stuff. I've been a History of Westeros patron as long as I've known about Patreon, and.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's one of their more popular kind of episodes is actually on the Great Empire is Shy. House Stain's kind of up there. Those are all kind of.
Yeah, they are indeed very popular episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So Amanda, we've got about 10 minutes before you have to go put on clothes and go be a psychic nurse.
Psych nurse. Or as Vanessa put,
psycho nurse, yeah. Nurse Ratchet.
Go nurse.
So tell the people what do we have coming next from you? I know we're all going to the con and it might be a little while, but do you have something in the works to be next?
I'm not 100% sure. I kind of have enough content for part 3 of Dragon Origins. I'm not sure. I haven't decided if I'm actually going to go through and do the part 3. But I think that I have enough that would actually be worth doing a part 3. So I have that. Like I said, Fate of Alice Rivers. I'd like to talk a little bit about maybe even a part 2 of the fratricidal clues video. King's Blood, The Voice in the Flames, the Melisandre. There's a lot of ones. It's just it takes me a long time just for the production and writing and research and getting everything together and putting it out.
Right. Well, it's very clear
out
that
there. It takes a while. So I'm taking. So hopefully, once the kids get back into school, I'll have some time.
Right on. It's clear that you put your time in. Yours are not hastily put together presentations for sure. Yeah, I look forward to whatever you've got next, and I know you're doing the single mom thing right now because your husband is deployed and the kids are home for the summer. So um, people don't harass her. She'll get around to it. But I'm sure we're all ready for the next big thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I'll be excited once I kind of get back into things. But yeah, it's kind of nice not having to worry about getting that next video out and everything. It's kind of nice
Yeah, just do it
worrying
at your
about
own
the other
pace.
things in your life.
Right.
So,
Well, and that's always the thing. Like, uh, family's always going to be there. It's always going to come up. And I've I admire the fact that you were a dedicated mother and wife as well. That's you're just an admirable human being all around, and I am very happy that you chose to come on my
thank
channel
you for having
and
me. It's a
talk with
lot of
me.
fun.
And so I'm going to give everybody in the chat one last opportunity to ask any questions, and then we've got less than 10 minutes before Amanda's got to go, but that's enough time to get a couple of questions in if we really want to. So, and I will give the chat a chance to catch up to that and drop some questions in. And Vanessa Amesti says, "You're right. Amanda is a badass," and I wasn't lying when I said that. I asked the cream of the crop of this fandom to come on my channel because you're worth knowing. I learned a lot about you today, Amanda, but like I knew that I would learn a lot of interesting things about you because the things I already knew about you made me go, that's somebody who people need to know more,
Thank
who
you,
people need to
Stephen.
know better. Well, there's a certain, not everybody engages the way you do. Not everybody thinks about the things the way you do. And not everybody, you know, you were just so personable when I met you and almost even to the point of being shy, but like, it was still like, I don't know, good people are who I want to surround myself with. And you've always been one of the goodest. And you can quote me on that.
Thank you. You're embarrassing me. Thank you. That's really kind of you to say.
Okay, so we've got a couple questions. When's theories that you want to come true? Any wins of win theory?
One series? What? Okay, theories. Which
Okay, yeah.
one in general, or which one of my theories?
I mean, answer the question at your leisure. Vanessa MSC
Okay,
wants to know.
sure. I'd love for Bolton to be true. I'd love it.
Okay.
I'd love that. I know that that's super tinfoil. It's just such a fun theory, and for George to actually like pop that out and bring that to the table, I think that would be so cool. I know it's not going to happen, but it's just such a fun theory, and I really, really like it. So Bolton, I'd love to see happen. Let's see what else.
Yeah, there's Bernie's dropping a whole bunch of great questions on us actually.
Yeah, I guess Bolton, and for my stuff, I don't know. I guess the black oily stone, I think, of mine. Yeah.
That's good answers both. So Bernie asks, do you have a favorite song right now?
Oh, a favorite song? Let's see. Elvis, Suspicious Minds, and Conway Twitty, Slow Hand are some fun ones.
Okay.
Tracy Chapman, Fast Car.
Ooh, that's a good song.
Good song. Yes. Those are some of my all-time favorites.
Right on. Lauren's Corner wants to know, do you have any favorite jokes?
Oh, no, I don't know.
Okay.
I know a
Lauren,
couple dirty jokes, but I
here's
can't repeat
okay,
them. I was in the
fair enough.
military for 9 years.
Lauren, ask her at the convention because Lauren is coming to Con of Thrones as well. Ask her at the con and she'll tell you a dirty joke,
There
I'm
you
sure.
go. There you go.
Bernie wants to know, what is your favorite movie and what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, so I wanted to be a ninja. I
Okay.
did. I wanted to be a ninja or a soldier. So the ninja, it was a little bit harder to do, obviously. So I became a soldier, and that's what I
Right
did.
on.
And yeah, and my favorite movie. Oh gosh, Shogun. It's like a made-for-TV thing that was a long, long time ago, and my dad got it on VHS, and it was so long. It was like 2
Yeah.
VHSs.
Is that Akira Kurosawa?
Yeah, I'm not sure,
I
but
think it is though.
it's like this shipwrecked guy, like Englishman. He gets shipwrecked in like feudal Japan, and he kind of learns how to kind of navigate the kind of feudal Japanese society and falls in love and all this other stuff. It's a cute movie. I liked it. My dad, it was one of his favorites, and so
Right on. Well,
it just brings back a lot of good memories of Shogun.
cool. And we're going to get Bernie's last, or not Bernie's last. Miji Cam had a question. If you could ask Germ one question that he had to answer, what would it be?
Oh, George R. Martin?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Oh. That's a good question. Well, I've never thought about that because I know that he, will not answer anything that he does not want to. So if I had the opportunity to ask him any question and he had to answer it, I would definitely ask him something about like the Ironborn, obviously.
Right.
I probably would ask him about the Kiss of Life and
Right.
the
And
ritual, the Last Kiss ritual lore, and how those fit into the storyline, and something kind of along those lines. I think that would be really, really fun.
Right on. It's a good answer.
But just like maybe, yeah, I think so.
Cool. Yeah, I could see you asking, are the Gray King and Garth Greenhand the same person?
No.
They're not.
No.
Okay, because I think they might be, but
No, they were most likely brothers. Now so what I use a term. Okay, I use this term with Garth, and I call him a Garth type figure. And I do that a lot. Okay, and basically, I call him a Garth type figure because there's a possibility that when we're talking about Garth, Greenhand, we may actually be looking at his firstborn son, because the symbolism of his firstborn son would actually fit into
right.
Garth Gardner, who's interestingly not mentioned hardly at all within, the especially for being kind of like the progenitor of like the Reach, as the very first about. There's actually a possibility that the symbolism would actually fit for him to either be the Garth Greenhand or Garth Gardner. All this fertility, green, all of this brother versus brother. So there's a possibility that this Garth type figure that we're looking at is Garth Gardner, but it's hard for me to tell. And so I use the term Garth type figure a lot. And that's why. And so there's a possibility that, that we're actually looking at a Garth Gardner and a Gray King being the brother.
So that's not a question you would ask George, and I can't blame you because you already you already have a pretty clear idea in your mind what you think of that.
Yeah, I kind of do. But.
So we're up against the time limit you set for me. I don't want to keep you after. Yeah. So one last go round. All the pertinent links to Amanda's.
Yeah, I have to get ready for work.
Yeah, but the link to your Twitter and to your YouTube channel are in the description. If you guys haven't watched everything Amanda's done, then you need to go do that immediately after watching this, because everything she's done is fantastic. Amanda, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I can't wait to see you in Nashville. It's going to
I
be a
know.
hell of a party weekend.
I
And
know it's gonna be fun.
to everybody that showed up in the chat to support Amanda and myself and to ask really great questions, I hope you had a good time. I hope you had a good time talking with each other. My apologies that I can't stay engaged as well. I have an incredibly interesting nerd to talk to across from me. It's but again, everyone, thanks for coming by. And I will see you in the next I Know That Nerd, or whatever it is I do next. I might not be doing anything until after Con of Thrones. I might do something the week before. That remains to be seen how time crunched I am. But once again, thanks for coming by, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.